H and M are all dead.
Wow.
They are.
Is
That's,
that how you
They
that's
really
start
are.
fucking? I mean,
it literally
I
just
mean,
came to my
hey,
head now. I was like, oh,
start with the facts,
Jesus,
you know,
Anthony.
because Howard drew
um,
attention to that, right? He did.
yeah. I think I always just
The
forgot about
M in
the H of
HHM.
his dad. Yeah.
Just bang. I mean, you even let us,
Okay, let me
it's
let
like,
me, let me come in a bit better.
jeez.
So we're talking about season 6, episode 7 of Better Call Saul, the mid-season finale, titled "Plan and Execution," written and directed by Thomas Snows. Um, he's kind of like I kind of seem like the third in command of on Saul. It's kind of like obviously Peter Gould, Vince Gilligan, and then Thomas Snows. So
Yeah.
he kind of gets. I think the last episode he wrote and directed was the one where Lalo goes to Kim and Jimmy's apartment, and then Kim gives him the dressing down. So, um, one simple question I'll start with is is Howard the most unlucky person in the Gilligan verse?
No, I'll
That
tell you
is
who
a
it
really good
is.
question.
I'll tell you who it is.
Who is it?
Good James.
Remember Ted from Breaking Bad?
What happened to it?
Mm,
What happened
I
to
don't. I
him?
don't. It wouldn't be him. That guy
Yeah, like,
actually was responsible for a lot of his issues.
but is it he's still alive? He didn't die, did he?
No, he slipped and died. I think he like cracked his neck or
He
something.
was like in a coma or something. I don't think he died. I think
Why
he
don't
was
I
like in
I
just a
thought he
very
died.
why don't I
bad
remember
state.
this?
That's the guy that was Waterwife's
Yeah, Skylar. I remember
Like
Skylar.
he
Skylar was
had
having an affair with him,
yeah
But
he
I
had
thought
like
and he
heated
always
floors
liked
in his
her.
bathroom.
actually, I'll tell you who's the
What
most
happened to
unlucky
him?
person. Remember
Hmm?
that
So
kid that Jesse shot?
That was the
yeah,
contender.
that
That's
kid
the
is unlucky.
contender. That's the
Well,
contender.
I mean, talk about wrong place, wrong time, man.
And I think that episode actually bears a resemblance to this kind of episode as well because it's like there's this big plan and the plan comes off like incredibly well and you're like, oh wow, this guy's actually going to get away with it, and then this unlucky thing happens. But I mean, like, Howard didn't do anything. Howard didn't do anything. Like
This is actually the same energy as that kid dying. This is exactly the same energy. Everything goes off without a hitch, and they're just at the part where they're starting to feel the revelry of everything,
mm-hmm,
Mm-hmm.
and
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
then disaster just strikes. So I don't know.
Kid was riding
It's
his
weird.
bike. Howard was being
Um,
a lawyer, and
Obia,
that's it.
tell me about your feelings watching this episode.
This is real television right here, and this is,
Oh my lord.
this is
Big
ev-
facts.
just everything, man. So, like, what do you want? Is it like sort of like the end of my thoughts on the overall episode?
Give me a quick run through of how you felt watching the episode. Just very quickly, like your highs, your peaks, your
It's been a
throws.
while. I mean, because everything. There's this thing that Alfred Hitchcock says. It's like, I
Oh
think it's
my
called Meanwhile.
god! Wait, what? Okay, okay,
Hey, listen, let the man quote his
Let
Hitchcock,
me.
okay?
okay. Yeah, quote Hitchcock. I'm
I
sorry,
think
I
it's called
apologize.
like some back at the ranch. Meanwhile, back at the ranch or something. It's
Mm,
basically hopping between two storylines,
mm-hmm.
and when one peaks, you hop to the next, and the other peaks and hop to the next. And I just love how it's all sort of like, okay, we have the Jimmy storyline, and it's all sort of leading up to this massive climax. Then we have this Lalo storyline, and we're both trying to figure out like, okay, this is happening, okay, this is happening, then this is hopping back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
back and
Mm-hmm.
forth. Then at the end of the episode, boom, it all comes back together. So everything is just masterful, man, and this show requires your full attention.
Yeah.
Only the peak shows, only the hashtag real television
Oh
shows
my
are the ones
Yeah,
where like if you're on your phone, if you're looking somewhere else, you might miss beats.
god. Mm-hmm.
And
because the
just
devil's in the details. Yeah.
I have no exactly, and it's just I have no words, man. Just experts, bravo,
In this
bravo,
case, the devil was literally in the
I
details.
mean, speaking of that, do you know a detail that I missed until I think I went on Twitter and I saw it? It was just like how Lalo thought to go to Jimmy and Kimmy's Jimmy and Kim's
The cockroach.
apartment, the cockroach. I didn't even clock
Yeah.
that in the moment, but
When I saw that in my head, I was like, why are they showing us this cockroach? And then I
because he called him
realized,
a cockroach in season 5, and then
yeah.
yeah,
I was like, I don't even clock that.
What I didn't clock
Mhm.
until later on was when he called first, when he called Hector.
Oh yeah, I got that, but
Then
yeah,
it's sort of real because that's the only time we've seen him ever lose his shit, like ever.
yeah.
And it's sort of like, oh, like obviously the phone was bugged, and you're
Yeah,
like, oh, okay, that's why. And he sort of
yeah.
changes plans and stuff. So
I thought, yeah,
and that's the thing I like about everyone involved in this show. They don't insult they
our
they don't insult our
intelligence.
intelligences, right? They're like, okay, we're showing you this because we want you to get it. They're not saying it's not like someone is saying, oh, Lalo called this and he knew the phone was bugged, so he did this.
Yeah,
No, it's everything is
that's
being shown for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's the best
Hashtag
thing
low
about like
code.
a well-written mystery, I think. Because it should be something that when you look back, you should be able to think, yeah, I probably could have put that together myself. Everything was right in front of me. And this show loves to do that in the way that they um just like to show you the bits and pieces of how things come together. And I feel like right now it feels to me like somebody explained what happened, but no one actually did. I just
Mm-hmm.
know what happened based on certain things. So when I'm watching it again, it's like, oh, of course. It reminds me of something Damon Lindelof said. Good TV shouldn't
Just
make me feel dumb.
throwing out the
It should
quotes.
make, yeah, good
I
TV
love it.
shouldn't make me feel dumb. Good TV should make me reach higher.
Yeah,
And that I just always feel that way about good shows. Like it's great when the writers just trust, okay, these people are paying attention. If they're not paying attention, it's on them. I guess they can watch it
Yeah.
again.
yeah.
You know.
I mean, something Scorsese said was that
Just throwing
Here we go. It's
no,
quote day.
no.
Zack Snyder
Speaking of, but
quoted
just
something. Don't
speaking of
worry.
like putting together the plan and understanding the plan. I mean, we do get to finally see the full scope of Jimmy and Kim's plan this episode. Howard puts it together in a way that goes back to what you said. It would be like it makes sense, and Howard can put it together because it's not too outlandish, but at the same time, it's too outlandish for any normal person to accept. Like you can't make me believe that that Jimmy McGill drugs you without ever coming
Literally.
close to you. Um, I don't think this show has ever made me feel more like a terrible person or an asshole. And in the moments where I was like smiling or cheering for Jimmy and Kim while the plan was working, right? As the plan is successfully working, I'm smiling for them, happy for them. Like that scene where like Jimmy is doing like the fish mime and hook and sink and everything, and Kim is like smiling. I'm happy for them, but then in that moment I was like, why are you happy for them? They are doing the wrong thing here, and I think the show has never like put a mirror to my face so obviously before. I was like, ugh, Bankole, what are you doing? Why are you supporting these guys? Um, and I had this sense of dread throughout the episode, right? Because I always felt like there's a possibility that this thing might go so bad that Howard dies, right? Like maybe the drug is too much for Howard since Howard takes tea and doesn't drink coffee or whatever, or he goes a bit too much, or he has a depressive state moment and he kills himself or whatever. So I always felt like things were going to go bad. And then when all that happens, it doesn't, nothing goes bad. I'm like, okay, maybe they've kind of got away with it. So I kind of let my guard down, which is why when Lalo comes in, I am not expecting it at all. I do not see it happening. I wasn't expecting Lalo. Like I thought he was going to like the laundry. I thought maybe that because they had moved all the guards to Gus, like he was going to go to the laundry. I did not expect him anywhere near like the apartment. So yeah, that was a lot for me. And I think, and it's interesting because like I think this is maybe the final, because in my notes I have it as called the final intersection of the two worlds. I mean, you see that at the beginning earlier in the season when Kim and Mike meet, and it's like cartel lawyers, right? And now it's like Howard and Lalo. And I think this is the last point. This is the point where the worlds are blended into one, and it's like these worlds are one now. It's no longer, like you said, it's no longer Maywan in the ranch. It's the ranch. It's just everything
Yeah,
is
it's just
one story. And we can't. I mean, we can obviously speculate, but there's no real point of doing that. Why Lalo is in the apartment? Why he decided to go to Jimmy? I mean,
no idea.
Bob Edekirk's
No idea.
performance in that scene, that he actually looks like he's seen a ghost.
The actual
Yeah.
fear. When he
He's like,
whispers, how?
how? He's
I
like,
was like, bro,
what are you doing? And the way Thomas Snow's directed that scene, actually, that scene is incredible. It's just like,
Candles.
the flicker of the
Oof.
of the flame. Man,
Candles. Yeah.
these people are
It's
operating at a different level.
it's
imagine,
levels, man.
imagine a
It's
Because we
flame
levels.
see them react
flicker.
to that flame when Howard
The,
comes in.
yeah,
Yeah.
Kim
Exactly.
does it to Kim. Imagine a
Kim,
flame flicker being like this kind of ominous sign. Whoever thought about that? Like that's not like
Oh
That
no,
what?
was
look at
so
the kind
good.
of
Such
thing
good use of
is in
environment.
everything.
It's just like because yeah, because I mean there are points in that scene where I was like, oh shit, this guy Howard is talking a lot. Is Kim gonna like really snap and maybe like stab him or something? I was like, that's a bit outlandish. Why am I thinking that? That can't make sense. How would they explain that? I was like, because I still felt like, oh, maybe it's Howard's gonna die. And then when you look at okay, like they're not gonna do anything, and then Lalo comes in. I mean, I think another thing that will play throughout the next at least next few episodes is the fact that like Kim didn't tell Jimmy, because then you're like, if
Yeah,
Kim told Jimmy, they probably wouldn't be in that apartment, right? They
I
might have not
think
gone ahead with the Howard plan. So it's just like,
I think
Very true. Because that
I
would have
think her
taken
reaction was
precedence.
pretty. I mean, if you sort of watch it, her reaction was shock,
mhm.
but not as shocked as um, Jimmy, because I think Jimmy's
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
"This guy's
She
dead."
was shocked. He
she's.
was fear.
Yeah,
Oh, I was even going to say the opposite. That she was
no,
Oh.
fear and
I think
he
she
was
was fear.
shocked.
He
Actually,
was
that's true.
shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like, but she's the
Because,
one that is
yeah.
she's the only one that speaks. She's like, Howard, I think you should go. Like she's the only one speaking. Jimmy is just
doesn't know
like
what to fucking say.
oh my god, the way that is shot,
He's
it's just like
losing his mind,
he's
bro.
like he's like how? It's like I know for a fact that you were dead. Like
I wonder
the
if this
most
affects the
trustworthy person
relationship.
I know told me this. Like, what are you talking about? Like, he's like, Mike told me you're dead. Um,
Exactly. Because now Jimmy's probably wondering, like, yo, is Mike okay?
mhm.
Yeah,
because like Mike would have warned me, and it's just
yeah.
so many things. I mean, we like you said, like I said earlier, we can't know what Lalo's plan is because well, they haven't told us. We don't know if he's angry with Jimmy or if he just wants to use Jimmy to get to Gus. Maybe he doesn't know that Jimmy knows that he's
Yeah,
meant to be
I
dead or
mean, it's
whatever.
quite interesting because his initial plan was to expose
Hmm.
the lab,
Yeah.
but like after he realizes like the phone has been was bugged, and now they know that he's alive.
Hmm.
This confirmation now. It's like he has to come up with a plan B,
Hmm.
and that plan B now involves Jimmy and Kim.
It
Like,
seems
so
like.
what are their responsibilities and roles in this his new plan? And I've, I've had a while to think about it, and I just can't figure out a coherent
Oh, I mean,
plan.
like I said before, I try not to think about think about plans in this show because one, I think these writers are smarter than me or than
You're a
I'll
guy
ever
with a
be.
plan, aren't you? You're like
But
the Joker.
but oh my god. But also, I just don't know. Like, I give them so much credit. I don't even want to try and think about a plan or try to
Just like I
pick
trust you.
holes.
Just
Yeah,
drive me where I need to be driven, basically.
genuinely, yes. Um, but speaking about picking holes in the plan, I'm gonna do a bit of nitpicking,
Go on.
right? And I want to know what you guys think. So, with this first half of season 6, or this first 7 episodes, was it a little too late with making Howard a real character? Because granted, his death is shocking, right? But beyond that, when that wears off, when you think about it for a few days or whatever, is it emotional?
I think
Or wait, sorry, just or does it not matter? Is he just a stop to the end point? And it doesn't matter whether you find it emotional or not. It's how the characters feel about it.
it's a good question. I think
Thank you.
you're first in a while. I think it's supposed to be.
Whoa.
I think it's doing two things, right?
Hmm.
I think it's obviously showing that Howard is a lot more, because I think before the season we all think he's like this sleazebag,
Hmm.
great
Hmm.
lawyer sort of thing. But I think more than that, it's showing that Kim is this literally the mirror image of Jimmy.
She has a piece
And
missing, apparently.
pardon me,
She has a piece missing, like what Howard says.
exactly.
Great
Which is
line.
just a terrible thing to say to somebody for a while. Yeah, sorry, continue, yeah.
And it's like this was the right time to show that to show what who Kim is really
Hmm.
is, right? So and it had to sort of coincide with showing most sympathetic side of Howard, so I did understand why they did it.
So what you're saying is that you think it's more in line with it being, and maybe I want to get your opinion on this as well, but it's more in line with it being a step towards Jimmy and Kim's transition and journey than it is how the character, how the audience feels about Howard. Like they don't. But anyway, what do you think? Because what do you think about? Did they take too long to introduce Howard as a real character and show us his flaws and his bad marriage and his debt and his depression, or does it work the way they did it?
Yeah, I think it does actually. I think on some level they had already started because Howard has been changing as a person, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Over time now, at least since slightly before the start of season 5, we've been seeing him go through some ideological changes. He's become a little bit more conscientious. He's become a little bit more self-aware. Basically, ever since Chuck died, he
Mm-hmm.
started to look more at himself because he blames himself for what happened. And let's not forget, Jimmy let him blame himself for what
Mm-hmm.
happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh yeah, I talked to him and now he killed himself. And Jimmy's like, well, Howard, you're gonna have to live with that. Not mentioning at
Jesus
all that he
Christ.
was.
What a
Yeah, Jimmy
guy,
is
man!
very Jimmy in that moment.
Ah, Jimmy, man,
So Howard
Jimmy.
has been, that is the point where Howard starts to change because we start to realize, before that, of course, that Howard wasn't the reason Jimmy wasn't getting into HHM. It was
Mm-hmm.
Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
Howard is complicit, sure, but it's very difficult for him to go against Chuck in that way because the firm was started by, well, the other H and I guess Chuck, and
Yeah.
Howard
Yeah,
probably came into it later on. So he calls him in this episode the greatest legal mind he's ever known, the
Mm-hmm.
M in HHM. He reveres Chuck in a lot of ways. So ever since that point, he's kind of started taking a deeper look at himself. He's still everything that they think he is. He's still condescending. He's still a little bit uppity. He's still kind of selfish. He has a lot of issues, but we
and
start
what
to
is a
see the other
lawyer?
side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
He's
start to see the other side of it.
yeah, he's everything they think he is, but he's not only what they think he is. There,
Exactly.
yeah.
He so it's funny because introducing things like his failing marriage, the fact that he's going to, some counseling for that, um, seeing how he interacts with his peers like Cliff Main and such, who he also reveres, watching all of that, I don't think it's necessarily late. I think it works because those are things we assumed he was doing. I mean, other than the marriage one, of course, those are things we kind of just assumed. But now they're showing it to us with nuance because it's
Mm-hmm.
become relevant.
Yeah,
So
Mm-hmm.
now that it's relevant, we get to see how it's feeding the story. Like them showing it to us before would have just been like, oh, here's Howard, here's who he really is. Maybe start feeling bad for him now. But now they're showing it to us because it serves the story of what Jimmy and Kim are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting to know about Howard at a time when it's fully vital for us to understand him. And watching the episode, it occurs to me that, it continues right where the previous one left off, right? So these two episodes are of the same morning. Like these two episodes,
yeah.
other than the last scene, like everything that goes on, like up until at least that
Same day,
meeting at
essentially.
HHM,
Yeah.
is the
Mm-hmm.
same day. It's like the same morning. It's basically like maybe a span of 4 hours, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. So Jimmy, that gives you an idea of how fast Jimmy and Kim were going with those college kids. I like how they even showed us how ridiculous that one um, film school TA is, because he's just always kind of annoying, but it's also very funny
I'm
because
sorry.
anybody who's into film or filmmaking is like, I don't like this guy, but also I'm kind of like this guy.
One of the best deliveries is when he goes that this camera is good for shooting your cousin's wedding or porn without dialogue. And I was like, he was like, look, if you don't shoot
Literally.
porn with dialogue, you use the good camera, but without dialogue, you can use this handheld shit.
It's like,
Um,
this camera is for art.
I mean, look, I'm a basic bitch. I love a good Warner. I love a good one take, and I was like, I think like 2 minutes in, I was like, oh shit, this is a one take shot. I had to go back and start from the beginning again. I was like, oh
That
okay.
was nice,
And
yeah.
the music is very heisty, and I was like, which is why I said like the fun is there, but then the
Yeah.
the bad part of the episode is so punching and so gut wrenching that you forget about all the fun times the episode had.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, sort of start of the episode as well. We spoke about like the one at
mhm,
um there was a bit when they were prepping the fake mediator, right? When they're doing that shot,
mhm.
and they sort of I think they went round, and it was while they were like doing his makeup
Yeah,
and
and they kept on
prepping.
cutting. Yeah, so they kept on cutting while going around. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it
the
was
end
just
of the one eye, essentially. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And
There
that
was a
was
So
funny bit where
cool.
like Kim was like running back and forth, and she left her shoe, and she had to
She was
like
in the
run
shot.
again.
she was in the shot.
Yeah,
Yeah, in the
That was
shots.
funny. That was funny. And I just
it's
like the fact
it's
that
it,
they didn't
it's
even
really
show
good.
us they didn't show us the full plan because you only get to see the pictures with the other guy in the mediation. Like you don't get to see it. I think because that guy, I can't remember his name now. The guy that plays the fake judge is like one of Odenkirk's like
Lenny, I think his name is
is his
Lenny.
name Lenny? I can't remember his name in real
I'm
life,
not
but like
sure.
he's one of like Bob Odenkirk's like old guys from like his like comedy show like Mr. Show
Oh
with
right,
Jimmy
Mr.
and Bob.
Show.
And I think he's the father of the girl that plays Erin. Is that her name? That plays like basically the
Oh,
paralegal that does
that's
does the
very cool.
speaker
Oh,
thing. Yeah,
really?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
very cool. Yeah.
There are a lot of like, you know, and Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. It's really serious, shit, right?
Hmm.
But they're just a lot of like these comedy
Comedic actors.
moments
Yeah,
in sort of bits and spurts. That's
It's
just
fun. I mean,
really
but that's
fun.
what makes the like some of those really heavy moments hit because even with it being that same morning, it's not just the stuff that happened in this episode. Like Howard has been having a bad day since episode 6 because I mean you remember the whole thing with like the coffee
oh,
and he does
Howard,
his
man.
peace sign and
Rough
everything.
watch,
Howard's been
rough
having
So
a
we
watch.
see him trying to work on this
I mean,
marriage. He
episode
wants to
4,
connect.
like somebody took
Yeah,
his
like
car for a joyride when he was in therapy and like
as
framed him.
in
Like he's had it.
just yo, this guy
Um,
has I know from the beginning, it's like right from the end of season 5, I really thought it was a joke because my question from the start has been not necessarily even why Howard, but like why do it this way? Like, do you need to do this? Because a lot of the time,
yeah,
what this Jimmy's schemes are based on necessity. It's like, okay, I
Hmm.
need to do this so I can survive, so I can get some money, so I can move forward, all kinds of things. But Kim comes up with this
yeah. I was
because
gonna
like
say this
she's
is
really
Kim's
high
plan.
on
This is not Jimmy's
yeah, she's
plan.
really high
Yeah.
on power trips at this point, and
Hmm.
she's like, let's do this. They would have gotten that sandpaper money anyway. They would have gotten even more. But they're framing Howard just because. And he says that to them. And I like that he acknowledges that because literally, they did not need to do this. They were just going to destroy his reputation. Sure, he's done a lot of things for them to be unhappy with, like with him, like whether it's the HHM thing or even putting Kim in doc review. His laundry list is long. But oh my goodness, like they were going to destroy the man's reputation. He would have been fine financially. Cool. Like he was going to be all right. But then the last possible thing, like this is like a he doesn't even know what hit him type of thing because he's not aware who Lalo is. He's not aware of the case that Jimmy had where like they had a different name for Lalo.
Hmm.
He's
Hmm.
Yeah.
he does this is just like James, like you said, like worlds colliding,
Hmm.
and they're
Yeah.
colliding in such a way that it hits harder because we see that Howard
Collusion.
isn't even like he literally right.
Oh,
Yeah, so
chocolate.
he's sort of like Howard is confused because you can see he's even feeling the whole oh get better lawyers type of thing. He's
Hmm.
still kind of trying to ridicule them. He's still in his moment. He's like, well, this is my mea culpa. Like, yeah, you won. You have officially played me. You beat me. I'll recover from this. He even acknowledges that. But
Yeah.
then he starts to see the gun. And Lalo is just such a great character. I mean, we can get to him later, but oh my God, such a great character because is this man is just dread and doom and gloom walking, and he has a smile on his face. Like, how do you design someone
That's
like
the
that?
terrifying thing. Yeah.
There was no chance of Lalo ever letting. Um.
Just because he saw him, he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just happen to be here." It's just like in Ozark, right? Literally, when like Wyatt gets killed just because he's sitting right there.
Yeah.
Ozark spoiler, by the way. If you haven't heard that, I apologize for you. I mean, it's been a while. I'm sorry. Like if you're watching Ozark, like it's been a while.
These days, if you haven't
True,
watched
I
anything,
apologize. That came
if
out
you
in
haven't watched
April. I guess I
any
kind of just
TV
Um,
show,
assumed
maybe
it was
I'll
March
maybe
or
I'll
something.
maybe I'll bleep that
3 weeks
on.
after,
Yeah,
just
maybe I'll
what
bleep
you're
that
doing.
on the podcast audio before. If you're watching on YouTube, sorry. Um.
But
Uh.
that's the funny thing about like just Lalo as a character. It just
hmm.
makes him so scary. It's like he just does it with a smile on his
Oh
face.
yeah,
Like
yeah. I
this guy's a
mean,
fucking psychopath, man.
and you can
Like
see
we know,
what he's like.
we know Tuco. Tuco is like a maniac, right? But this guy is more extremely charming, extremely intelligent, more calculating. Like you will never see Tuco hiding in sewage, planning out his next.
Anybody with the name Salamanca, like each one of them is a different kind of problem.
It's actually
And
so
when I
wild
first saw
how
Lalo, like
different they are.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're just like it's crazy because when Lalo is even introduced, you think, oh, so they actually have normal people in this family, but they don't because
no,
this guy is normal just for show.
this
Like
is a
he
proper
is
Boone family.
simultaneously the best one and the worst one because he's best at being the worst, and it's
Yeah,
wild.
yeah.
Could the twins be the most normal?
They might actually be. Those guys don't even speak. They just do what
Um,
they're told.
Yeah, they're actually just like
gosh, those guys are scary as well,
they
man.
probably just watch like Mexican football in their spare time. Like they're probably just like really calm dudes. But when the phone rings, they just have to wear
Are you
their
trying to say
Yeah,
they're
masks.
not
because
fans
Tuco
of
is what you'd
Arsenal,
expect.
Uncle?
You know, he Tuco is what
Um,
you'd expect. He's just loud and he's scary. But
yeah.
Lalo is
So
interesting because you can't
He's a
really
wild
predict
card.
him.
so going back
Yeah, exactly.
quickly going back to the original point I asked, the original question. I don't think I have an answer, and I think again it's just a nitpick because, like I said, the Howard death in the moment is very shocking, and it's only when you want to think about it and ask the question, was it emotional or was it just shocking? Which I think there is no wrong answer. If it can just be shocking if they care mostly about Howard and sorry about Kim and Jimmy, or it might be emotional if they care about the audience as well. It depends on what they're trying to say. But I was thinking about two deaths when Howard death happened. Obviously, most recently the Nacho death, and the Nacho death obviously hits harder because we've been seeing Nacho's character. You pour one out for Nacho for the last few years. Like we've been seeing his relationship with his dad or his relationship with his two girlfriends. Right? We kind of we know what we went home with Nacho. We never went home with Howard until this season. Um, but most importantly, what kept on coming to my mind, and I think it came to my mind because people kept on saying that this was like the biggest death of the Gilligan verse. And I'm like, I really, really like the episode, but it can't be because what kept on coming to my
Biggest
mind
death?
was
That's a stretch.
because what kept on was Hank. Hank in Ozymandias, like,
That was tough.
and I'm
That
like,
was huge because family.
yeah, exactly, and exactly that's my point because like we know Hank, we spent 7 years with Hank or whatever how long we spent with Hank, like we
Walt
saw.
was ready to give away money to keep Hank alive, which
I
he's never
actually
done for anyone.
Yeah, so I actually went back to what the first half of the Ozymandias episode. I just kind of get the thing, and it's interesting because after obviously Hank dies in like the first 5 minutes of the episode, but after Hank dies, we see that scene. Obviously, after Walt tries to get the car and everything, we see that scene with Marie and Skylar. Right, that's still Hank looming over it. Right, but Marie is telling Skylar, "Look, Hank has captured Walt and whatever. He's gonna put Walt in jail." But we know that's not true. But like, so it's a lot more emotional to us, right? It's like we because we know this family, we know we know they're minerals, Marie, not rocks. Like, so we know them and we can feel for them in a way that we never knew how it beyond a few scenes this season. So I don't think like it makes it worse or better or whatever.
What about
Just trying
Jesse's
to make the
girlfriend that Jesse Plemons' character
Jane.
shot in the head and made him watch? That was pretty tough.
Oh,
oh yeah, I
oh
forgot
my
about that.
goodness.
That
Yeah,
was
That
but
funny as
hit
well. What
me.
was that
That
about?
I forgot
definitely
about
hit
that
me.
death, you know.
Just because, for no reason. Jesse Plemons' character, by the way, is one of like he's just one of the worst.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
just get that
yeah,
out of the
What's his
way.
name again? Was
yeah.
it Todd?
Todd,
Todd, I think.
Todd.
Todd.
There we go, Todd.
Plus, he was white power, so you guys, that makes it a lot worse.
Yeah.
That makes it a lot worse. Um, Jesse Pinkman, man,
Talk
what a
about
journey he went
talk
on.
about comedic characters. Marie was so funny.
Marie,
Just
Marie
like
has been called Walter White Light. She's
why?
basically him,
weird
but
elf.
like
Weird
that
elf.
she's basically him in terms of like just her overall arrogance
Hmm.
and condescension, feeling
Yeah.
like she's better than people, but
Oh
she
yeah,
just doesn't
oh yeah,
have the ways to back
definitely,
it up. And Walt
definitely.
was like that too, but then he became Heisenberg, or at least he blossomed into what he already was.
Was
And yeah,
um
it's-
yeah, no, I mean, I think uh, this is going to be obviously a death that will loom large over Jimmy's transformation to Saul. And it's interesting because they were talking about. I read an interview with Thomas Schnauz talking about breaking the story, which is obviously because they wrote the story in 2019, I think. So this would have been at least 3 years before, 3 years ago. and they're talking about how like this was not always the plan. They obviously had various versions of what the plan could be for Howard, and like they didn't always land on Howard dying and everything, but it just seemed like the right point and the right intersection of the two worlds essentially. Um, but yeah, I mean, like when you see the gun coming out, and I think it's definitely up there, though, just in terms of shock and what it means to the characters, and for the characters, definitely up there with like with Hank, because you're like, oof, that's like as a
Now,
It's an
kid,
oh,
unintended repercussion of what they've been doing. It's like we
yeah,
wanted all kinds of things for him, but we did not mean for him to die.
and
But he's dead just because he's here because of what we did.
yeah, and I
exactly,
alluded to you
exactly.
earlier, like they would have to reconcile with the fact that Kim knew and she didn't tell Jimmy. And if she had told Jimmy, Howard most likely would not be dead. Like is
I
that
look
that is
forward to
not
that conversation.
that's not reaching. That is like that's facts. That's
Yeah,
straight
Yeah,
up there. It's like on
you
the
can draw a
paper.
straight line.
Yeah. So it's like if she tells Jimmy, they probably don't go ahead with the plan, or they're not even living in that apartment, or even they lock the door. Like they're a lot more careful when they lock the door. That's basic things. So it's yeah, that's like that could be something. I don't think like it's something like how Jimmy would be like, you did that, so I'm breaking up with you. But it's definitely something that could is worth a discussion. Essentially, that's all I would say. Um,
can I ask you guys a question?
of course, of course.
What do you think is the most uncomfortable movie scene you've watched, movie slash TV scene you've watched? Because that Howard um, sort of mediation scene was really
Was it
bad.
great?
Sometimes like oh like
I
I had
did.
to keep pausing the whole time. Like I felt so much dread.
it
Like
was so bad.
it
So
was a lot.
I don't know, man. I don't know the last scene that made me feel like I had to like
So I don't have
that amount of dread.
yeah, I don't have a cringe one or a dread one. What I do have is like I was literally feeling uncomfortable. I think I've said this story on the podcast before, but I just remembered it because you mentioned train spotting. So the
Oh,
first, because my friends also when I was in uni, they liked train spotting, and this was when Train Spotting 2 was coming out. So they went to rewatch the first Train Spotting, and then watching it in the like in the TV in the house or whatever. And this was we had gone out the night before, so I was like hungover, and
such good.
it was a bad hangover, and I don't know if you watch Trainspotting, but it has Ewan McGregor being a drug addict, and there's a scene where he's
Hmm.
sobering up and he's going cold turkey, and he's like in this room tied to a bed or whatever. And I don't know if it was Ewan McGregor's acting or Danny Boyle's directing, but I felt so uncomfortable that I had to start. I went to bed. Like I had to. It was like 6 p.m. I went to sleep because if I had watched one more second, I'd have thrown up. Like I was like just
Wow.
being hungover and watching him go through going cold turkey on screen made me
All
almost
right,
throw up. So
because you were hungover.
I was like, that's it. I was like, I haven't finished train spotting until today. I was like, that's it for me. I'm going to bed.
Wow.
So yeah, that's like the most
Dang.
physically uncomfortable I felt. I can't in terms of cringe. I don't know. There's so many I can't even think of them
I
right
just
now.
thought I think I've mentioned in podcast as well. Mine is you haven't watched Swingers yet, have you?
No, I haven't watched Swingers now.
That is there's a calling. I think it's a voicemail scene. That is tough. That is a tough
I
one.
mean, look, let's go in close to home. When Roman sends the dick pic to his dad, I'm like,
But that was more funny though. That
it
was
was
more like
cringe. It wasn't funny.
exactly like
It
we're
was
laughing
cringe for me.
now.
No, 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 no. Yeah, we're laughing now, but in that moment I paused it and I was like, Roman, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah, I paused it to shout, man. I was laughing like crazy. My sister thought I was going mad.
Uh, so I can't think of any like cringe or dread. I'm sure
Yeah,
there's some. I just can't remember
probably
them
somewhere
right
like
now.
not remembering at the
I don't
moment.
have that
Yeah.
many. I think I know a lot of them will be in Breaking Bad because Breaking Bad was it's such an amazing show. But I started it fairly early on. I think maybe I don't know before it finished anyway. But
Hmm.
then I think I got to like early season three, and things were just so heavy sometimes that I just had to stop. And then I started again maybe like after the show finally ended, and
Oh,
even
okay.
then it was very difficult. Like the Ozymandias episode was quite a journey. Even finally seeing like things that I already knew were memes, like I am the one who knocks.
Mm-hmm.
you know, that one was just interesting, seeing how certain things play. But in this episode, definitely just watching Harold, just watching him go through that, and Howard Hamlin, and I was I was kind of just losing my mind because
Yeah.
in my
I
head
was
it's
just
like,
hoping
okay,
that, yeah.
because the pictures, right? Did they switch them out? Did they put something to like double expose? Like,
Oh no,
when
no,
did he switch? It's
I
just,
think it's what he said. Like the PI switched
yeah,
them out
this he
when he
switched
left.
them out,
Yeah.
but what the fact that the PI was working for him, that I didn't immediately realize. I missed the signs on that one
I'm
because
annoyed
apparently
because
there's a way we could
I
have.
saw. I don't know
Because
if I don't
she
know if
asked for
there's a
when
way.
Kim was asking for that number, I realized now she was like,
Yeah.
"You changed. They changed the number." And so
Yeah.
everything how it
Wait, which
said
number was
was
Kim
very
asking
true.
for?
She asked for a number for like I think she wanted to change the service because they're a law firm, right? So they have private investigators for certain things.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's one that the firm uses,
Mm-hmm.
and Kim called one day as somebody from that place saying that they had changed their number,
When
and
did she
then
do that?
I don't know which one. It was one of the episodes in this season. Like
Yeah.
I think maybe
Oh,
3 episodes ago. I'm not entirely sure when it happened.
Something like
And
that.
even
Yeah.
even the point where like you see them listening in on the call,
yeah.
that's because of what happened in the
Oh,
previous
yeah, yeah,
episode
yeah, yeah.
where he asked his assistant to call
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
I
say
Yeah.
they
got that
can get
To
the
one.
bring
number.
up. Yeah.
I got that one. But I didn't know.
Like
I can't remember Kim giving her the number, but
she was
somebody.
writing something down when she was on
She
the phone.
wrote.
Like it
Yeah.
wasn't clear
Yeah.
to us. But yeah, I think it
Fair
was.
enough. I
I'm not
can.
sure where she was. Or maybe she was in the coffee shop or in that cafe where she invited that
Yeah,
her
yeah.
old paralegal to.
And giving it your full
El
attention.
Camino
That's the
Diner.
way.
Yeah,
But yeah,
And
someone.
5% isn't enough. Full 100%.
True. Someone I was listening to kind of had a theory that they were working with the PI. So that wasn't like. I mean, it was pleasing to see, but it wasn't like a surprise to me. And then it just made sense because it was like, okay, because I was like, because then you think like, why is Jimmy taking out that amount of money? Like, what's he actually doing with the money? And then you're like, oh, it's just a plant. That makes sense. So
yeah.
I mean, it's a very thorough plan. It's a well done plan. Like it's
Apparently, when you
ridiculous.
look at their board with the
Hmm.
sticky notes, you can see
Hmm.
the PI is
Yeah,
on that board,
there's like
which is
a.
crazy. I want to go back and look at the whole thing again
Oh no,
now.
yeah, because like there's a
'Cause,
picture of a Viola on that is meant to represent that paralegal because her name is Viola.
yeah,
Um, there's is like yeah. I think I don't know if that board itself. I think some parts of that board are in like the beginning of the season when they're raiding because what they did is that they apparently shot that scene last, so they just threw in like different things from the season in there. So like there's some little Easter
uh,
eggs that you might see. Like I think the stuffed toy that he wanted to give to the receptionist at the court is in that scene. Just random little things are in that scene, just to
Right.
yeah that he kept. So
makes sense.
yeah, man.
I did not know law firms had private investigators.
I guess you have to. Yeah, I guess it makes sense that you'd have one on call because you need someone to do dirty work. You need someone to do
I did
the
not know that.
job.
Fucking lawyers, man.
Because if let's say you're doing a divorce agreement, you need someone to kind of like follow your partner
Follow them
to see if
around.
they're cheating. Like just basic stuff. Like not within the laws, obviously. You kind of need
Just invade all their privacy
you
and
need
stuff.
someone to
So
do some
sure.
stuff. Um, but it's just the fact that they knew that Howard was gonna like the fact that they knew that they made the plan so obvious that Howard would know it was them. Because you remember, think about episode 1 when they were
It
like,
shows how well they
"Are
know
we?"
him.
Yeah, they were like, "Are we being too subtle?" And he was like, "No, no, no, it's the right." Like they couldn't be too subtle that Howard would not know that it was them, so that Howard could then send the PI on his ass. So it's just, yeah, it's just, yeah.
It's
I
just
did
like,
not,
yeah,
yeah, I didn't
when
see
when when he
the.
realized it was too late. Like there
It
was
was it
Yeah.
was
nothing
too
he
late.
could have done. Like
It
there is
was too
no
late.
point where he was at the point where he started to even realize what was going on. There was nothing, like everything was already irreversible. It's just like with Chuck and the whole like Mesa Verde document thing. When he realizes what's going on,
Oh
there
my
is
god,
nothing that can be changed.
Jimmy is so good at making. I mean, I guess now it's just Jimmy and Kim, but they are so good
Delayed
at making.
gratification, man.
Yeah, but I'm making smart people sound incredibly stupid.
To others, yeah.
Can you
Because
remember
he
when?
uses because he uses their smartness against them.
Yeah, remember when Chuck
He
was
knows that
shouting
they're
in the
gonna
court?
assume the worst.
You
Yeah.
remember when
Yeah.
Chuck shouting Shikrin in the court? We're like, what are you talking about? No way, Jimmy. And it's like his plans are so outlandish that like normal people do not believe.
But
That's
there's
an incredible
extra
way to
pain
live
because
life.
you, the victim, knows that it's Jimmy. Like you know what
Yeah.
is going
that's
No.
on,
that's
and
such a
no, and
great
you
way to
know that
live life.
nobody is ever going to believe you.
Mm-hmm.
Like
No.
it's just such a
You sound like a
thorough
fucking.
victory.
You sound crazy. in front of everyone else. But
And
like
then obviously he makes it seem like
downplays.
that person, people already think that person is crazy. So with Chuck, it was obviously his medical condition, and then with Howard is that he planted that he might have drug issues and his eyes, and fair enough, man. Howard Hamlin, we pour one out to you. You were well dressed, well haired, a little bit condescending, but you didn't deserve to go out like this.
Yeah, shout out to Patrick Fabian, man.
Yeah,
Very well portrayed.
very, and like they gave him his monologue. I love how these guys like they're like, you're gonna go out, but we're gonna give you something to say. Like we're gonna give my commando a monologue to say. We're gonna give Patrick Fabian a monologue to say. And just like, yeah, it's whew, that candle.
Let, let me ask you guys this actually.
Sure, go
Do you
ahead.
think if he left right when Kim said, Howard, you need to go, do you think he'd be alive?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if Lalo would
No
have let him
chance.
go at that point.
Would Lalo,
No
okay,
chance.
James, you think Lalo would have turned around and
No
just shot him
chance.
immediately?
I
Lalo
think
was
just the
loose.
fact that well, yeah, maybe Lalo is too like what's the word?
No loose ends, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like
It's
to
like
It's like
allow
with
that
what's the
happen.
Casper
guy
in
from No
Germany.
Country for Old Men? Was it Anton Chigurh? Just
Yeah. So
take
Yeah,
unless Howard was
responsibility.
leaving like as Lalo was coming in,
yeah, exactly.
because the
So,
moment I
because
think the moment that they see that like the moment
that
that
he's talking to Jimmy.
yes, or that Howard sees the reaction on their faces,
Yeah,
Lalo can let
yeah.
Howard live.
Even like
Also,
you were
Howard is
saying
not meant to be in.
with
He's not meant to be in Albuquerque. Remember, he's on bail. He ran away. So like,
True. Oh,
yeah,
right.
you can easily
See,
see him
and
on like
that's
a
another thing.
wanted poster or something.
Because like you said, like just something as simple as locking the door. Like if the door was locked
Oh yeah,
and he knocked, right? They would have seen him in the peephole. Jimmy probably would have gone to check. He would have fallen down, and then Kim would have been worried. She would have looked. She would
yeah.
have told Howard to hide.
All
He
right,
would have
yeah,
objected, but then eventually he would have hidden.
yeah.
But so maybe, but then he would have heard everything. I don't know.
But like Lalo might have not known he was alive. Like,
Yeah,
Isha wouldn't be immediately dead. That's what we can say. Like, once,
yeah,
He might be dead like an hour later.
or maybe he would. Maybe he could. Like, Kim could take Howard, not Howard, Lalo out of the building. Like, okay, let's go somewhere. As in, like,
yeah. But the show
Mate,
is so
come
good
on,
at that,
come on.
though.
You
The
really
show is
think
so
that was
good at that
happening?
because that's the issue with prequels, right? You know
mhm,
where everybody is going to end up, at least most people. So it's not about what, it's about how. So
Yeah.
we had only a few people unanswered for like Nacho, Kim, Howard, people like
mhm,
that, right? So even breaking it down, just like taking that as a microcosm in this episode, once we see Lalo, you kind of guess that Howard is going to die. So,
mhm.
but even though you know this death is coming, it is still such a big hit. Like the way they shoot it, the way it happens, the way he's like shot mid sentence, the camera angles, the sound design, everything
Yeah,
just makes it so explosive. And it's like, I knew this guy was going to die, but somehow I'm shocked.
it's almost just
It's
kind of
wild.
like almost kind of. I think that one was a bit more shocking. But there's a death in Ozark as well that is very similar in the way
I was
like
literally about to bring up Ozark in the
like the way
sense
the
that,
gun
like,
comes off screen, and I don't want to. I'll tell
Oh,
you. I don't want
yes.
to
I
spoil
know
the
who you
death,
mean.
but yeah.
I've learned,
Um,
but I know who you mean.
yeah. No. I think I said this earlier in the season, but I can reiterate it now because now it's even more true. But like, I have never been more sure that Kim doesn't die than I am at this point.
ooh,
Like they don't kill
Interesting.
Nacho, Howard, and Kim. They don't do that. I think Kim is gonna get a fate worse than death.
oh,
I don't know what it
It
is, but
fits so worse than dead that she's never in contact with Jimmy.
maybe she gets the vacuum
He
cleaning
never
service.
even mentions her.
Maybe she gets the vacuum cleaning service.
maybe she
Maybe.
does.
I don't think, or maybe it's never worse than that. Maybe that's exaggeration. But I just don't think they killed all three of them. It seems too easy for Better Call Saul as a show. That's what I'm trying to say.
Fair enough.
And it's the same like conundrum, sort of like I said the same thing with like the Marty Bird in Ozark.
Yeah,
It's sort of the same with like Jimmy here. It's like anyone. I feel like at the end of Better Call Saul, everyone that we've cared for in Better Call Saul with close ties to Jimmy is going to would eventually be gone. And it's like, why would you touch this guy with a 10-foot pole? Why would you come anywhere near this guy?
yeah, but like it's not entirely
Unless
his
it's like,
fault.
yeah,
Like you
Jimmy's
can't compare it to Marty Bird is like literally He's chaos walking. He's literally doing bad things. Like
And
he
what's Jimmy?
chooses his
Was he
actions.
slipping? Is this slipping Jimmy?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like we can't who Chuck's death is Jim is not you can't put that on Jimmy. Howard's death may be on Jimmy, but it's not like yeah, it's not the same way with Marty. Marty is just a bad person.
You're a Jimmy
Just
Truther, aren't you?
no, I'm not a Jimmy Truther. Maybe I'm a Jimmy.
So
I mean,
fraud.
the way I was happy when when they were winning the the con. Maybe I am a Jimmy Truther. Um, I still find it like I still always just kind of like I don't know if it's I don't know. I just kind of not cringe because cringe is too harsh a word, but I'm always what's the right word? I'm always aware whenever Jim and Kim are doing anything sexy because I don't see them as a
Okay.
sexy couple. I just haven't. I've never seen them as a romantic couple. Like so, whenever they even kiss, like when they were making out when the thing was going on by the phone, like I'm aware of it. It's not like second nature to. I'm always like I don't see you guys like that.
That was a sick behavior, man.
I don't know. I'm always like I just don't see you guys like that. I feel like you guys are a lot more cerebral in your. I feel like your dirty talk is like talking about ways to kill Howard, not like not like actual dirty. I just don't see them as a romantic couple. But anyway, does anyone
You
have any
don't feel they
final
have
thoughts on?
chemistry.
No, I do think they have chemistry. I don't, but that's the thing. That's the problem. I believe they have incredible chemistry. I just don't know if it's romantic. Like
Interesting.
they are great in
Mm,
their scenes together, 100%. Like they like everything. Like even things like when they are on the couch watching movies, I enjoy. I think just whenever it goes something sexual, like kissing or actually
mhm.
having sex, I'm just like this just doesn't seem. But I don't know. I don't know if it's them. I think it's the show
Yeah, I think
because I don't think Gilligan First has ever really cared about sex.
no.
Right? There's some awkward
Only to
ones
only
with
to advance the plot.
yeah, there's some awkward ones at the beginning of Breaking Bad, like with Skylar and
Yeah.
Walt. There's obviously that
Skylar
famous
and
hand job
Ted.
scene with there's some famous hand job scene with like Maria and Hank, which is like if I can then you leave the hospital. But like it's never really been a show about sex or sexual activity. So it's always to me it always just feels awkward. But not
You want
like not in a
more?
way that is glaring, just like, oh, this is here.